So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And I wanted to talk about how being indispensable, trying to be indispensable, or trying to show initiative at your job in order to keep it, it doesn't really work so much if they don't really like you at your job. I have two examples here, one about me and one about my sister. And I wanted to mention there was a book that my father gave me a long time ago called The Peter Principle. And it basically says that you can't, it's several things in one. One is why stupidity rises to the top with respect to jobs, and the fact that you can't work hard and expect to be promoted based on that alone. You really need to have mentors or people that like you at a particular job in order to get ahead. And hard work really on its own, if you think that that's going to help you, is probably just going to get you fired. So with respect to to my sister, because that happened first, my sister really needed to hold on to a job after she graduated from university. She had the job before she graduated, and she needed to keep it after she graduated in order so that she didn't have to move back to my mother's house. So anyway, I told my sister that, hey, if you really need to keep this job, what you should do is try to be indispensable at your job and try to show them that, hey, you have really good ideas and that's why they should keep you. I didn't really think about the book, but it didn't work like I said. So my sister was working at a high-end furniture store, and she had the idea that she could temporarily donate furniture to like hotels or to what's the word that they use? To apartment buildings, high-end apartment buildings, to showcase their rooms, so that if somebody wanted to move into the room, they would see the furniture and they might think, yeah, I want to get my furniture from this place. Or if they're at a hotel, they might like the furniture and they might say, yeah, I want to get this furniture. I think it was mainly for staging these rooms at apartment buildings. So anyway, yeah, she got the idea, she called around, and then she went to her manager at the high-end imported furniture place and said, hey, look at this great idea that I had. They promptly took the idea from her and assigned it to somebody else. And that person didn't really follow it up very much. And at the end of the time, when my sister needed to keep her job, they did not keep her. And that was the end of that. And it didn't work. And they didn't follow it up. And they just didn't use the idea. So nothing happened. For myself, afterwards, after seeing that happen to her, I still didn't remember what the book was talking about. And when it came time for me to graduate, I had been working at my school, and I thought, hey, let me try to show some initiative here too, and see how this works out. If they'll keep me on, otherwise I'm gonna have to move back to my mother's house. And I went to my boss and my boss's boss, and I said, hey, I can do something. for the school. I can write a program that could be unique and help the school. So my boss's boss said, hey, talk to this other guy. He has this thing that he is supposed to be doing, a project, and you can work with him and see how it works out. So I went and I talked to that guy about doing what project he was working on. And I got the distinct impression from him that, yeah, did have a project, but it was very, very early stages. He didn't really have an idea of how or even what necessarily he was going to do. And after I met with him, I really did not expect to hear from him at all again, and that would have been the end of it. And I was pretty disappointed. And this was what going to my boss about these things was going to end up. So I was like, forget about it. Anyway, as it turned out, he actually did need something tangible. He was teaching people who worked at the school, like, professors, well, not really professors, maybe some professors, but other people who worked at the school in terms of support staff. And since it was an IT department, we were going to teach them IT classes. He was like a trainer, and they would be getting these other classes. They would sign up for these classes, and he needed a way digitally to see who was signing up for the class and for them to be able to manage it themselves. So they'd be able to sign up for a class or remove themselves from a class. That would send them an email to acknowledge that they did indeed either sign up or remove themselves from the classes, etc. So I set about doing this thing. It was really cool. It was using technology that I didn't use very often. And I figured, hey, let me assign a piece of it to this other guy who works with me in the department. And that kind of worked out, but it didn't really, because he didn't really know what the heck he was doing. So apparently he didn't really think too much about it when he was designing the pieces that I needed. And, at some point, I went back to him. I'm like, hey, we need to put this in there too. And he's like, well, maybe we should just start over because I really kind of made a mess of that thing. Anyway, at the end of the day, we did it. It was cool. It was great. I was proud of myself and everything. And, that did not help me. It didn't give me a job. What happened is that I had a more clear-cut problem from the beginning than my sister, which was that the head of the department, he really didn't like me at all. When I first went to this school, he was supposed to be my mentor. And in one of the meetings, he said, hey, I'm going to pick a major for you. We can, because I didn't have a major at the time. And he's like, we'll have a meeting, set up a meeting with my secretary, and we'll just, decide on what major you can have. So there's no reason for you not to have a major. And I didn't really know how to speak up for myself to say that that's not what I wanted, and that I wanted to take these classes and see for myself whether or not I was interested in a particular class. I was not in any rush. I was on a 4-year tuition scholarship. So it wasn't, I didn't really see the need to decide in theory what was going to be good for me. And I had already heard horror stories from other people who changed their major. And if they were on a scholarship, it'd be a situation where their scholarship was running out before their major was over, so now they need to find money to do that. So I just didn't go to that meeting. And instead of seeing the guy in the corridor or on campus and him being, why didn't you come to my meeting? Nope, he just never spoke to me again. So as it was, the job that I managed to get at the IT department was because he didn't know that I was applying for the job. So when I got the job, of course, he probably was like, if I knew it was this guy. So that was a hill that was too high to cross. And when I was graduating, they made it clear that this year they were not going to be hiring any of the graduates. I was the only graduate. So it was just specifically so that they didn't have to hire me. So that was that. You need people to like you in order to get ahead. I was reading about Napoleon, and one of the reasons why he was able to get ahead was because his brother was in parliament or some position whereby when he was trying to gain power, his brother was able to tell the people, no, Napoleon's not trying to take over everything. Of course he was. So by, putting them in the wrong direction, giving them the wrong idea, Napoleon was able to go further than he would have been able to if it was just him alone. So yeah, you need people to like you, and the higher up they are, the better for you, and the more of them there are, the better for you. And it doesn't really matter how good you are at your job. You just need high people in high positions to like you, and the more of them, the better. So anyway, guys, you can wish me LUCSS. That's Lux. You can like or unlike. You can comment, subscribe, and or share. And of course, I don't prefer it, but you can do nothing. Peace.